All right, guys. So we're here for another episode of Q&A. So we're going to get into it now. Here's the drill. If you have any live questions that you want to ask, you're going to ask them in the comments. We've got Dom and Ezzy that will jump in whenever you ask a live question, and we'll answer that live question. But for that, we've actually got a bunch of pre-formed questions which have come from the success team this week. So let's get started. We're going to start with you, Dommy. What macros should I focus on the most when it comes to food tracking?
Beauty. All right. So you all know, and if you don't, here is the number one macro we are looking at is always protein, right? High protein diet takes care of so many things, takes care of hunger, make sure our metabolism, our muscles form, and we get to where we want to. So number one is always protein. We want to always make sure that we're about around 50 grams of fat for hormone just support, right? So not getting any lower than that. And then the carbs are something we play with, right? Carbs are something depending on what our imminent goal are, we can adjust, but definitely number one, protein and fats to a certain degree.
Do you guys like to vary your carbs and fats ratio intentionally? Do you track it, or you just kind of like, look, as long as I get enough fat and I hit my protein target, all the rest is noise?
Most definitely, 100%. I vary my carbs a lot depending on how much I move. If I have a heavy desk job and just hit the gym, not a lot of carbs. If I'm on my feet and I have 20,000 steps and I'm running, definitely I'll increase my carbs by 100, 150 grams easily.
Yeah. What about you guys?
Nope, mine's just standard. As long as I hit my protein and my calories, that's it. But I'm not doing a whole heap of cardio.
Yeah, for me, I've never really kind of understood, like I've always, coming from being the weight loss client, always protein and calories was my main focus. But now doing what I'm doing, I'm starting to learn a little bit more about, the benefit of having your carbs at a certain, percentage at the end of the day, fats at a certain percentage, and how to kind of balance that out, especially when, obviously doing a cut, you would know at the moment, you've really got to balance that out. So you're not just entirely protein, you're still supporting the other functions of your body as well, right?
I think when people are talking about there's a difference between carbs being bad. Carbs are not bad, but they are the most disposable of the macros when you're doing a cut, right? So they're typically the things that are going to come down the most with your fat to a certain level. But that also means that when you start to increase your calories as well, you can add the carbs back in. So the carbs aren't bad, right? But we do need to prioritize the protein. All right, I'm going to throw this one to Erin. Will my booty start to grow a significant amount of muscle if I train 3 to 4 times a week for that specific area? Or maybe I'll just simplify the question. What do you think is the best way to train for a fat ass?
I'm very partial to not just focusing on just that specific muscle. I see a lot of ladies get into the gym and they just do booty exercise, and they don't want to build muscle anywhere else. Your nutrition comes down to how much muscle you build. There is no specific exercise that's going to grow that booty, right? Yes, you do need to train that muscle, aggressive overload, but your nutrition, if you are in a calorie deficit, you are not going to see your booty grow. At all. It's just not. You might start to strip a bit of fat and you might start to notice it's looking perkier, it's looking rounder, but you're not going to actually build that muscle. So I think if you really want to build the booty, you need to actually look at, going into a bit of a reverse and upping those calories, and then, adding it into your program, really focusing on full body stuff, some really big compound movements, your hip thrusts, those isolated movements, but not just focus on that one particular muscle.
Okay, cool. All right. How come my scales, Carly, tell me I am heavier, but I feel like I'm looking leaner or smaller?
So we see this a lot, don't we? And you girls are always wondering why the scale. So girls, we need to stop focusing on scale weight. So you need to make sure, number one, you're taking your photos and taking your hip and waist circumference, okay? That's really what matters. I think scale weight plays a part and is important. However, if you're fixated on a particular number and it's derailing you when you're not hitting it each and every single week, that can become really unmotivating. So things like, whether or not you've been to the toilet, Are you, due for your period? So hormonal fluctuations. Is it water retention? Is it that, maybe you've weighed yourself at a different time from last week, and maybe it's after you've eaten, after you've had a big breakfast or whatever. Maybe it's you've consumed some carbs. You went out the night before and had a big bowl of pasta or something. Extra salt, like whatever it is that's making your body hold on to water. It's not fat that you girls are gaining overnight. It's water weight that your body's holding on to.
Yeah, can I give you a visual? So
Yeah.
so this one. So this is 600 mils of water. Okay, guys and girls, do you want me to show you how to lose 600 grams or half a kilo in 1 minute? I now weigh 600 grams less.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
but that doesn't compute with us, right? We stand on the scales and we're like, oh, put on half a kilo, right? It's like, dude, you just drank half a liter of water.
So if I run for 2 hours, right, I come home and weigh myself 2.5 kilos, 5 pounds gone. After 2 hours, gone, evaporated, right? Like we have to understand
Yeah.
how crazy the scales can fluctuate due to so many reasons.
I'm starting to get to the point where I think weighing daily is the way forward.
Yes,
Right.
but especially for ladies trying to, if it's something that, it does derail you, that perhaps it might be time that you do track your scale weight for a period of, maybe a month to 6 weeks to make sure that when those fluctuations do happen during your period, because I know for me, I can go up in weight of 2 kilos. And so if you're not aware of that, you automatically think, oh, I've had a shitty week or something's not working. So knowing how to kind of read the signs of why things happen is, I think, beneficial.
Okay. I literally cannot get 6 to 8 hours of sleep every night, Dom. How do I fix that or fix my sleeping problems?
Ooh, I love sleep. That's amazing. Consistency. So my number one sleep improvement tool was consistency. I was horrible too. But once I started my 9 bedtime, 5 a.m. getting that consistency, your body truly, truly adapts to that. Mine certainly has. And then there's a bunch of things we could do. Maybe drink a little less water before you go to bed. It's definitely going to let you sleep and not get up 50 times during the night. Have your room temperature to a certain degree. I think for me, 18 degrees works really well. Try some things out. Make sure there's no light coming in. I don't know. Do you guys have other ideas?
I think like what I love about that is you went straight for the habit, right?
Yeah.
So we all think about the hacks, right? The different hacks you can do,
Yeah.
cut the light and cut the noise and but the biggest thing that most people have is they stay up till midnight on the weekend, and then Monday comes and they go to bed at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock, and they're like sitting there looking at the roof going, what the fuck's going on here? It's because you used to go to bed at 11 o'clock. Right. And then the next day you'll go to bed at 10 o'clock, and then the next day at 7 o'clock. You have to have consistency. And even for myself, one of the things I've noticed myself doing, particularly while not drinking, is just going to bed at the same time on the weekends and getting up at the same time on the weekends.
Big one too, yeah.
That you're almost like just resetting your circadian rhythm so it just becomes a pattern like everything else.
And the problem with going to bed is not going to be getting up early. The problem is always going to be shutting off your brain in the evening. And don't try to jump from 12 midnight bedtimes to 9 p.m. It's just not going to work. You're going to hate yourself, and you're going to roll around in bed and question life, right? So just as we teach you actionable goals, baby steps, move it up a half an hour, move the bedtime an hour, over a couple of weeks of time, you'll see massive improvement.
Okay, guys, if you want to ask any live questions, you can pop them into the comments and we will ask them live. And anytime that you do, okay, yeah, go for it.
All right. So, Timmy, is carb loading a thing or a myth? Back in footy days, pasta meal.
Microphone.
Oh, sorry. Here we go. Is carb loading a thing or a myth? Back in the footy days, pasta meals 2-3 days before game day was taught to me is this a thing?
Yeah, it's definitely a thing, Tim. 100% it's a thing. So I'm guaranteeing you that your boys, Nick and Terry and Jace and these types of guys, they're doing it before their marathons. So you know how we talked about at the start, we talked about carbs around training. The reason that carb loading is a thing is what we're effectively doing is packing up the stored carbohydrate in your muscles and your liver so that when you run out of petrol, because you will run out of petrol if you're exhausting yourself, right, in a marathon or a half marathon or a heavy exercise session, you want to have that backup fuel source there. And that backup fuel source is called glycogen. And glycogen is the stored form of carbohydrate. So the idea of carb loading is that you eat a bunch of carbohydrate 24 to 48 hours before the performance that you're going to do. And then that effectively serves as a pretty heavy, readily available fuel source that's easy for your muscles to access when you need it. Now, does the average person need to carb load? Not unless they're doing something that warrants them. So as an example, we were all pretty flat today because we didn't have a big breakfast, and then we went and climbed, a very, very steep incline for an hour and a half. You could say that might have been better done on a carb load. But if you're not going for a big weekend hike, as an example, Tim, where you're going to be probably doing an hour to 2 of work or an intense 30 minutes of work, it's probably not something you need to think about. For your kids, yeah, if they've got a school gala day where they're playing footy all day the next day, absolutely, smashing some pizza and pasta into them is a good idea.
Yeah. So in every massive marathon, you'll have the night before a pasta party, right? And that's the reason for that pasta party happening. Obviously, to carb load the shit up for a big draining workout the day after. So yes, is a thing, but yeah, I think it's
okay.
everything.
I'm going to go to Erin. Is it dangerous or okay to work out heavy or intensely during menstruation?
I think it's a very much personal preference. If you feel very, very fatigued, the last thing that you want to be doing is working out super intensely, because you then run the risk of injury, you run the risk of your form being off. But again, it's personal preference. For myself, I never used to working out, during that time of the month, but actually I like to challenge myself and push through that and not kind of use it as an excuse, because that was something that I used to do is I've got my period, I'm just not going to go to the gym. And then it kind of would drag out for that week when actually probably maybe day 1, day 2, pull back a little bit.
Can I ask you a question, just from a man's perspective? Is it really uncomfortable to work out when you have your period? I'd imagine that it feels like
there's
I don't know if
a lot
there's
of
too much
different
information,
things.
but I think I'd imagine that it would be something that a person who's already self-conscious around going to the gym, for example, that they might almost be fucking, I am not training this week.
Yeah. Mine would be more bloating. Right. I don't think, for me, it doesn't physically bedridden me or anything. But like you said, it's whether or not, if you're fatigued or whatever, I do find that sometimes the ligaments across my back are weakened, and I find that I'm more prone to injury. But that doesn't mean that I shouldn't train. I like to use that week leading up to my period more if I'm going to have a bit of a deload week or something to pull back. But I don't let it stop me from training. But that doesn't mean that, you might be someone that actually is in excruciating pain and is a little bit different.
So that's me. The first 2 days for me each month is just a no-go, right? Just no-go.
So do you think that, do you think some women avoid exercise during that time and as a consequence feel worse?
Yeah, because it's
mentally.
Because it's proven that resistance training can actually improve your symptoms.
Right.
But I think it's getting there and over that, I guess, that mental barrier.
Well, you feel like shit, don't you? It's plain and simple. You feel like shit, you feel bloated, you feel uncomfortable. The last thing that you want to be doing is squatting down with heavy weight. You just don't want to do that.
Yeah, boys, if you're watching this and this is TMI,
personal preference.
Fair, but it's I think having these conversations really just puts things out in the open and makes it less embarrassing. And I think this is good. Guys, if you want to ask any questions,
I
like I
have
said,
one.
yep, pop them into the comments.
Pasquale, how long is a good time to rest a strained right elbow tendon? Twigged it. Doing a tricep easy bar skull crush flat bench exercise, still giving me a bit of pain after 3 weeks, and limiting how heavy I could push. Yeah, I know. We talked about this on the coaching call a couple of weeks ago. Obviously, it's annoying the heck out of you. Would be to me too. Unfortunately, there is no answer to that, right? A strain needs rest. There is no way around a strain in your leg, elbow, wherever. You need to rest. Otherwise, you're just gonna keep pulling on the same tendon and irritating it. So I don't know if there's a better answer to it.
Well, I think
pull back.
yeah,
or
one
not?
thing that we could do, Pask, is, and this is one of the challenges of lifting heavy, right? Now, your transformation, you've really pushed yourself, brother. This is amazing. This is why you're getting results. But when you do have something like tennis elbow, and I think it's something that we should reach out and speak to Troy about, because he's the rehab dude. But one of the things you can do is just dial back on the weight and increase the repetitions. You will lessen the stress on your joints. Now, this is probably a more general concept. You know, as you're getting past 40 and 50 and 60 and beyond, it's not necessarily the most amazing thing for you to be lifting as heavy as you can all the time. That's generally why in our programming, we go through waves of high weights, low repetitions, and then we have low weights, higher repetitions, because we need to see some back off and some recovery for those ligaments and tendons. And Dom's absolutely right. If you just always lifting heavy, it's like maximum tension, you're probably going to create yourself some issues. And so maybe doing a phase where we back it off and start operating in the 15 to 20 repetitions range. And you might be like, 20 repetitions, I'm not going to build any muscle at 20 repetitions. Actually, it's been shown that you can build muscle at all repetition ranges if you take the set fairly close to failure on each set.
So he's saying here, maybe I'm just impatient, but don't want to lose my gains.
Yeah.
Obvious and relatable fear, but think about this. Would you rather want to like carry this shit with you for the next 6 months and kind of hold on to it, or let it really heal up for a month and step a little shorter and then go back to balls to the walls, right? So that's kind of the trade-off here.
Yeah.
I've got a question. So Jazzy said here, what is the best exercise to work your lower tummy? I reckon we should go to you for that one, Carls.
Anything, I guess, really leg raises more than anything, rather than, crunches, anything really elevating your legs. But again, and like your planks and things are great, but is that the question? Is that around getting a 6-pack? I don't know. Just remember what you want to be doing is to see, like, everyone's got a 6-pack. And I don't know if that's what you were asking or not. You would have to make sure that you've stripped a whole heap of fat to make them visible. But personally, for me, if you want, it'd be leg raisers and things.
Yeah. So I think when you're Jazz, like, it depends. What Carly's saying is the way you're framing the question is probably more to do like, how do I get a toned belly? And the answer to that is, as we've spoken about, I think I did a podcast on this. The last podcast, if you want to listen to it, it's around belly fat. It's a belly fat 101. Go and listen to it. Me personally, I always lose fat from my lower abdomen last. And even if I've just done a cut, right? I'm seeing incredible like vascularity around the bottom part of my abs. But as soon as the calories go up a little bit, the first place that it comes back on is the bottom of your abs. And we talked about in that little 101 podcast that we did, these alpha receptors, they're called, that sit in and around the lower abdominal area that really just are magnets for fat storage. And that's why we store it there. So all the, sit-ups and even good quality lower abdominal exercises like leg raises, they're not going to get rid of the fat that lies on the top. That's going to come down to your nutrition and your walking and getting into a calorie deficit. And hopefully that answers the question. And I noticed that...
Joe's got another question here too. So Joe said, What my question is, when and why would you do a deload week? I don't know really what it is.
Yeah. Do you want to answer that, Dom?
Sure. So deload helps us with kind of taking away the intensity and let our muscles completely regain, and there's fancy word, super compensation, right? When you're draining your muscles, you're putting them into fatigue, you're breaking them down, and if you keep breaking them down, they're never going to kind of repair and get stronger. Okay, so the concept really is letting them fully repair, making sure you're fully recovered, get back to full strength, and then kind of getting back into a more heavier lifting cycle.
Yeah, and I think to go with what Dom's bang on is there's a psychological component to it as well, right? It's kind of like a diet break. What is a diet break? A diet break is when you have been in a deficit for a long period of time, and then just for 1 week, maybe you just eat back at maintenance. That's a psychological reset because being in a diet is hard. And Joe, someone like yourself who's been at this for a long period of time and you have struggled with your weight for what, decade? And then all of a sudden you're flogging yourself, it gets exhausting, right? And sometimes just a deload week where, what is a deload week? Let's define what a deload week is. It's basically where you really reduce the intensity of your activity. It doesn't mean that you necessarily do nothing. You can go to the gym, but really back off the weights. What I would suggest on a deload week is you go, and if you've been doing your 10,000 steps, do your 10,000 steps outside in the sun, enjoy a bit of relaxation time for a week, have the entire 7 days off, knowing that you're going to be starting again next Monday. Little bit of a break. That's all.
Yeah. Or another time a deload week would come in handy if you're like have a big competition or something like that, right? You have to perform on Saturday. So a week before that, you would totally take that intensity and volume down, sleep, eat, right? And then have your body just primed for that certain day.
And a person can pair a deload week with their social calendar, right? So
That's what I've done.
yeah.
Yep. For me now, like I've been in like a pretty decent cut for 13 weeks. And, this week I knew that I wanted to come away. I wanted to enjoy myself. And, my coach said, let's get you just back up to maintenance. Let's just my calories. So that's the other side of like a deload of what you're talking about. Let's up your calories so that you can go and enjoy yourself. You don't feel like you're being super restrictive, but just keep your activity up. Still go to the gym, still get your steps in, enjoy yourself. It's a week. It's not going to like completely change your life around, right?
Yeah. This is a fantastic question. And guys, if you do have any other questions, you can ask them in the comments. I'm just going to go to Tamara's one where she said, I struggle with sit-ups. It always hurts my neck. My intuition on that, Tam, is, and by the way, welcome to our elite program,
Yes.
Baby Cakes.
Thinking that.
How good is that? Let's give Tam a flex. Oh, yeah, girl. We love you. Hey, so what I was thinking is it's probably just because you're not very strong in your abs and you're probably just you're not very strong in your abs and you're probably just pulling at your neck a lot, right? Pulling at your neck a lot. That's probably the reason why. And so that will hurt. And so what we need to do is just work on developing your ab strength with exercises that you can do. So if you are serious about this, Tam, I want you to bang a message through as a reminder to our elite chat. Bang it through so we can get Coach Troy to give you 1 or 2 basic exercises. If you really want to work on your abs, 1 or 2 basic exercises that are very, very beginner level that can help strengthen your abs before we move you on to doing things like sit-ups and declines you're going to be stronger in the abs to be able to do it. Yeah. What's that?
Same with Jazz, who asked before. She wants a few workouts of Troy.
Cool. Okay, what do I do, Carly, if my weight starts plateauing?
Ooh. Well, firstly, it's not a bad thing, girls. It's completely normal. It's part of transformation. We think, oh my God, the weight stopped falling off. Something stopped working. I need to change my workouts or whatever it is. That's just your metabolism adapting. So what you need to do is, what was the question again? Sorry.
About when it starts plateauing.
Yeah. So what we want to do is we don't want to keep reducing our calories. Okay. Yes, you will lose weight. We will probably reverse you out of it and start increasing your calories. So setting your metabolism back up. and making sure that you're still hitting your protein. As well, when you're not meant to be in a calorie deficit all your life, girls. Like, this is the ultimate goal, is freedom, right? So when you get to that point, this is just a good sign that you're just in the next phase. So when your measurements start to, you're not seeing, and a plateau, what would you classify a plateau? Anything, what, 4, 5?
Yeah, and this is where I think a lot of people get it wrong. They think that they're in a plateau, and then they look and they're like, oh, they've lost like 5 centimeters from their waist, but their weight has plateaued.
Yeah.
You're not in a genuine plateau. So let's talk about why the 2 biggest reasons why you enter a weight loss plateau. There's 2 reasons. The major reason is you actually stop doing the thing. This is the thing that people don't talk about. It is really hard to be in a continued deficit. And I'm learning all these lessons again. As an example, I haven't tracked for the last 2 weeks, but I tracked for 40 days straight. Haven't tracked for the last 2 weeks. I've stopped doing the thing. I'm still doing it. I'm still in a cut. I'm still saying it, but I've no doubt the extra calories have come back in. So it doesn't surprise me if I jump on the scales. I'm expecting that I've probably plateaued because of the fact that I stopped tracking, right? So stopping doing the things, the major thing. The more minor thing is that if you've lost 5 or 10 pounds, you don't need as many calories as you did when you were 5 or 10 pounds heavier. Does that make sense? There's less of you. So as you lose more weight, the amount of calories that you need comes down over time. This is a conversation that I had with Nikki Bassnett through the week. And it's kind of weird, right? What? But I'm fitter. That's right. Your calories are going to come down. So we can give you some kind of one-to-one guidance around that if we need to start increasing calories again. Okay, guys, we'll stay here as long as you guys keep asking questions. So if you have any questions, pop them in the comments. I'm going to go to Ez. How do you deal with negative self-criticism? And I'm asking you specifically because I think that you're probably the worst at this, and now you probably overcome it a lot.
It's still something that I've got to work on a lot, because I think it just is something that maybe it's a part of my personality. Maybe it's a part of what I've been through in my life. Maybe because I've just done it for so long. I really have to work on it.
So how does it, when it comes up, what does that look like? Like, what is it? Can you try to like?
For me, it's a lot of self-doubt. Like, I don't back myself enough. I take myself back to where I was when I sort of started, Right. I just don't feel enough. And it's not that it's like I don't feel enough for the people around me. I don't feel enough for myself. And I really just have to stop in those moments and go, actually, like, I've done some pretty cool shit in my life that I didn't think that I could. And, sometimes you just got to have grit. Sometimes you've just got to go, you know what, like, no matter how hard this is, like, I have times where I show up for myself, but I still have doubt. And I still think I'm probably going to look like a great big dickhead when I fail at this. But that's okay, because at least I gave it a go. And what's the worst that can happen? Someone's going to have a laugh at me. Well, I can have a laugh at myself at the same time.
Yeah, if you can take a piss on yourself, then Carls, do you have a feeling on this, like dealing with self-doubt or negative self-criticism? Actually, let me be pointed here. So as soon as you left this morning and you turned back down the hill, I thought she's going to tear herself apart, right? So what was going through your mind when you?
Well, that's self-compassion, isn't it?
I don't know. Did you have compassion, or did you?
Yeah, I did, because that's what I was saying earlier. I'd be like, it's kind of ingrained in me, like, you don't start a job and don't finish it.
Yeah.
But I walked away and I knew that I had to listen to my body. It wasn't me just giving up.
Right.
I had to think, well, do I really want to ruin my entire week having a relapse and be back in bed? Yeah.
But that takes a maturity to have that conversation.
Yeah, but I didn't even feel guilty about it. I was more proud that I made that decision. You said before about backing yourself, the criticism.
Self-doubt
now I've
and
lost
negative
it.
self-criticism.
Is having people around you that actually believe in you
Yeah.
has been massive for me. People that want to see you win and remind you of all the good things that you're good at and the rest of it, rather than maybe telling someone that doesn't really, whether it's consciously or not, maybe doesn't want to see you do better, maybe not putting those positive things back into your mind, positive reinforcement. I just think having people in your corner, supportive people around you.
Okay, love that.
There's also a question here too, Jace, from Steph. She said, is there a certain time that's better to train? And is it also okay to have my protein powder in the morning before I start my day, or better to have it after a workout?
Can I answer that, Don? Best time to
Timing
train.
of protein, best time to train and protein powder. Best time to train. What is more likely for you to go to the gym? What time of the day, right? I feel like later time of the day, the more excuses might come up, the more shit hits the fan, the more things happen, right? So early, always better, but really depends on you. If you're consistent with evening workouts, beauty, hit your evening workouts.
Yeah, so one of the, I remember Linda James, like she was just like, I've got kids, I love going at 10 p.m. at night.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, how the hell do you do? It was like 8 or 10 p.m. at night. I'm like, no way any of us would do that. But that worked for her.
As a student, that worked for me too, because I had a 24-hour job and my sleep schedule was fucked. So I went when nobody was at the gym from 12 to 2 a.m.
Right.
Yeah, but I don't know. Is that really sustainable for most of us? Probably not. In terms of meal, nutrition timing, protein, it's all the same. Timing is way less important than getting that nutrition in, right? We want to make sure that we get in a 24-hour period, we get that protein in, most importantly. So yeah, don't wrap your head around timing too much. It's not
that important.
Not that
one thing I do think is important about protein timing is, if you're going to eat a breakfast, is having a protein rich breakfast. That's the only thing I'd say. If you're just filling up on like 500-600 calories worth of peanut butter toast, that's basically no protein, and you're just spending all your money without getting any bang for buck. That's probably the only thing that I'd say. It's going to satiate you more to have that in the morning.
Yeah.
Now, guys, we're going to pull this to a close.
I've got one.
We run out of questions. So
quick
let's
one.
bang them across.
Yeah.
No, we don't need to finish it, but if you guys don't have any fresh questions, we're going to finish it up. So,
Douglas, my left shoulder suddenly developed what feels like impingement, limiting my lift and reps, especially on chest and shoulder exercises. Brother, you got to get it checked out. Checked out. Physio probably is the number one, or sports therapist is the number one person I would go see. Hard to give you any idea what's wrong with that from over here, but definitely pushing through that might have something really wrong, and you might make it worse, right? So get a professional opinion.
Yeah, a couple of points that I'd raise on that, Dougie, is that most people over the age of 40, I don't know about you guys, but most people age of 40 have shoulder injuries. The reason is the shoulder is the most mobile joint in the human body. It can go fucking anywhere, right? It can go up and down and side and across the body. And so because it's a joint that's held only in place really by the ball and socket joint, and it's not like it's not gripping like that. It's kind of like just sitting like this. And then there's got some ligaments and some tendons. And when those tendons and ligaments get a little bit stretched because you've injured or dislocated or torn something, it just continues to just pop or feel shitty. So the vast majority of people our age have problems with their shoulders. And so what I would be doing, as Dom said, is be going to someone who can kind of tell you how to rehab it a little bit. Now, if it's an acute thing and it's only really just started, just like the conversation with Pascal, we'd be backing off using it for a period of time. If it's a chronic thing, generally speaking, you want to try to work out how to strengthen it. And Coach Troy can help you with that and work around it. So as an example, for me, my shoulders are shit. So I can't do really wide bench presses. I cannot. My bench press has to be shoulder width, narrow bench press. I can't do anything wide like this. And so you just get to a point where you kind of know how to maneuver around it. So depending on whether it's acute or chronic, Doug, send us a message, please, into the coach chat and just let us know which one of those things it is. The answer is going to be either, if it's acute, back off the volume and just let it rest for a couple of weeks and just focus on lower body stuff and walking. If it's a chronic problem, it's going to be go and get a diagnosis on it, and then maybe Coach Troy can help you with some rehab stuff to try to strengthen it and minimize the pain that you're associated with it. Any other questions coming from the girls?
good.
We're good?
No. Good.
All right, guys. Well, look, we're going to leave it there. We've got a few extra questions, but we're not going to worry about tagging this on too long. Now, coaching call. If you are still watching this and there's 15, 20 people still watching on live, the coaching call is there's going to be 4 of us on it at 2:30 a.m. Vancouver. So today it is a mixed call, okay, which will be at 7:30 p.m. Sydney time. 7:30 p.m. Sydney time. Any person can come to any call, okay? 7:30 p.m. Sydney time, 9:30 p.m. Auckland time. That is 5:30 p.m. Perth time. So come along, right? And what we're going to do in this call, it's going to be a very quiet call if you don't ask questions. So the point of this call, and I'll pop a post up on the group soon, is to come in, and I want you to come into the call asking yourself, what's the one thing that if I could move through that would really move the needle for me? If I could just get my head around either this one thing and it's a knowledge piece or it's a mindset block. And we're going to have a conversation around that, okay? So come to the call tonight, whether you're a man or a woman, get your ass to the call, and we're going to use this to hopefully move the needle for you a little bit. So team, that's all from us. Peace out. Have a beautiful morning, evening, or afternoon, and we'll see you on the flip.
Bye.
Yeah. Ciao.